All right, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, 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 Kal Halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles, a great millstone who rule well. Honors and salutations to you, Akim, out there that's laboring in his truth and sincerity. All right, without wavering. All right, we almost out of here for sure. We living in a time of prophecy. You know, the prophecies are steady coming together. Like the Bishop of Zion like to say, they popping like popcorn. You know, every day just things are happening, and we in interesting times, man. But we gonna jump back into the true Lazarus project. This will be part two, a continuation of one of the last show I did, and Lord willing, through the Spirit, we're gonna close it out on that. But it's a lot of points in that, and it's all pertaining to prophecy, man. You know, I remember at one time they were trying. You have guys actually saying we're not in the time of prophecy. What is prophecy going to profit you? That's a mark of someone who's out of their damn mind, and that the Lord clearly is not dealing with, man. All right, because the scriptures say the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. So now in this picture right here, or it's an icon image similar to the last one I was using, which this is a icon image when Yahweh Shai had resurrected Lazarus, right, his friend, and you see they're all of dark color, dark skin. Lazarus, that's him in the sepulcher with the white wrapped up, because that was how that was our tradition of how they buried the dead or whatever. And that's Yahweh Shai, the taller man, right? That you see the one bound down to him, and see with Esau, and again, like I said, they're not gonna really tell you the truth. They tiptoeing around it, and really they're being forced to break. They can't conceal the truth anyway. Just like with the chariots, the so-called UFOs, they have to speak on the so-called UFOs. But there's been information, icon images on that as well, and you'll see this image, and you see the same image, but with all the people with lighter faces or whatever. That's a thing that they have called iconoclasm, the defacing of an image. All right, or basically what they do is they throw, because these are like murals or painting or whatever. So they'll throw certain chemicals on the face to lighten up. That's why you see certain, and it's a process. They'll do it. They'll, keep trying to basically whiten the images up to try to keep that lie going of them being the people of the Lord. But this shows clearly that the Lord never looked like them, man. And that's why it's important for you brothers to know this truth and know the name of the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and say that name and confess that name. All right? And it is a thing of faith. Oh, this whole thing we're into is faith, okay? But this is the truth, 100% truth that were given to our elders, that our elders gave to us. All right? So anyway, we're going to go back to the scripture. Let's see. Back in Luke 16, and I'm going to pick up where we left off in the last show. I'll read down into it. Right? This is Luke 16, chapter 16, verse 19, pardon me. It said, there was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen and fared sumptuously every day. Now we know that rich man is speaking about Esau. All right? It says, and there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate full of sores. And we know that the beggar named Lazarus represent Israel, us, our people, the 12 tribes. It says, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table, moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. So basically the other nations, they've been set up to add insult to injury to our people, to Lazarus. It said, and it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. Meaning what? Into the kingdom of heaven. Because remember, the Most High promised Abraham a land overflowing with milk and honey. And the promise went from Abraham, Isaac, to Jacob. It said the rich man also died and was buried. Because guess what? The so-called white man, yeah, he's going to come to our kingdom. All right? But he's going to be in slavery, as the scriptures tell you. All right? And that's just what it is. And matter of fact, let me go to that real quick in the book of Jeremiah. All right? Jeremiah chapter 30. 16 is the point, right? 16, chapter 30, verse 16. It says, therefore, all they that devoured thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, see, right? All thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. Because that's what's happened in this society. That's why you have all these different hidden programs that they were doing, experimenting on our people, giving our people all type of different diseases and viruses, and just destroying our people's whole DNA structure, like just breaking Jake down to where, which that goes into the curses too. When the Lord said He's going to raise this devil up to take us down, but they showed no mercy. All right, they showed no mercy. Remember that they showed no mercy. You see, and this is what they did. So the Lord said, all of thy adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity. Captivity means slavery. All right, because you have people be stupid enough to say, well, see, it said captivity. It didn't say slavery. Which really that's it. And really, we're really speaking to the elect. And whoever else happen to hear us, so be it, man. Because at the end of the day, what's going to stand is the truth of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Everybody's opinions is not going to matter. They don't matter really now, really anyway. Okay, and the so-called white man, he's losing his voice, his power. All right, but this is what the scriptures say. So now, back to Luke, right? Luke 16 and verse 23. It said, and in hell he lift up his eyes, being in torments. And that hell simply means being in the grave, being in the slavery. Slavery represents hell. Did we not? And seeing the thing is, you got to use your common sense, because people get all spooked out. And yes, in religion, that's why the Most High is not dealing with religion anyway. In religion, they had a thing which was started going back to the medieval, the Roman Catholic Church, right? It was one of then they had Dante's Inferno. They had all these different religious ideologies and beliefs that they created to control people. So they would sit there to scare people, and you're gonna burn in the middle of hell, the devil with a pitchfork stabbing you. That's not what this is talking about, man. Heaven and hell. Always remember, heaven and hell is two conditions played out on a planet Earth. Matter of fact, man, hold on, bear with me 1 second. Just to prove the point. Bear with me. Exalted to heaven. Right there. This is Matthew chapter 11, verse 23. So it says, and this is the Lord speaking. It's in the red writing, right? It says, "And thou Capernaum," which was a city. I believe it was by the. I got to look it back up again. I believe it was by the sea coast, right? But it said, "And thou Capernaum," which so don't quote me on. I got to go back and check it again. But it said, "And thou Capernaum, which are exalted into heaven, shall be brought down to hell." So showing you how you're going to take a city and put the city under the earth. You're going to have the city's going to be in the turn. How do you make sense of that? If with that, off logic of thinking that hell is some place where eternal fire. And that's why shame on IUIC, from what I hear that y'all teaching about eternal hell and all that stuff. That's not in the scriptures. The Lord didn't teach that, man. All right, and that's why Proverbs 4:7 says wisdom is the principal thing, but with all thy getting, get understanding. Because you got a lot of guys out there that read the Bible but don't understand it. Majority of the people that read the Bible don't understand it, man. And remember, the truth is only for a select few. So that's why it's not about numbers, man. The Most High, see, that's a worldly thing or a carnal aspect, strength in numbers, Oh, yeah, they got 20,000 men, so we need to get 50,000 men so we can overpower them by the law. The Most High don't deal like that, man. That's why you had King David and the mighty men. They were all outnumbered, but the Lord was with them, and they would slay. They would go to battles at times and not have not one casualty after they done with their hands, with their bare hands. None of this new technology, so-called new technology, right? No pushing buttons, like actually engaging in battle and war, right? And slaying thousands of men in a day, just getting the end, just like that's the real, like John Wick. I was seeing that shit the other day, like how they, that shit, Esau got to use the Hollywood tricks to pull that off. They didn't have no tricks in there. They was actually getting it in. You see, they were getting it in. King David and his mighty men, because the Most High, and then going into 300, which they made the movie off. That's an actual movie, and those were Israelites, man. Okay, those are Israelites. That's during around the time of the Maccabees and so forth, man. It's in the book of the Maccabees to speak about that. That was an actual event. Those are Israelites. So the Most High, with him, he uses the Lord doesn't use numbers, and that's why in Matthew the 7th chapter says what it is, for broad is the way that leadeth into destruction. All right. But anyway, so now the Lord said, "And thou, Capernaum, which are exalted into heaven," because why? And like I said, and I'm gonna look it up again. I believe that that's one of the things that made them rich, because when you had seaport cities, and that's why people always covet those parts, because one, you got commerce. Two, fishing and so forth has always been a big, even to this day. And that's why America is hurting too, because they done destroyed a lot of the fishing industry. They done destroyed all the fish and everything. They done polluted the water. But anyway, like I said, don't quote me. I gotta double check that again. It's been a minute since I looked that up. But it says they were exalted into heaven, because not that they was up there floating in the sky, a city floating around in the sky. That's not what was going on. It was the way that they were living. It was the condition that they were in, and they were wicked. And they were going off. All right, and they didn't accept Yahweh Shai. It's just like right now. You got certain cities of wealthy. You got, believe it or not, and I believe it's the city in the PG County or whatever they call it in DC, and then certain areas where you got rich Jakes. Like you got a whole community of Jakes that are lawyers, doctors, and got nice little houses, mansions, and everything like that. And but they're not giving credit or honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. They don't know the Most High, and they don't care to know the Most High. So the Lord said, "Thou, Capernaum, which are exalted into heaven, shall be brought down to hell." Meaning what? You're going to be destroyed. All right? And that's what happened. "For if the mighty works which have been done in thee have been done in Sodom, it would have remained unto this day." And we know about Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And Sodom and Gomorrah was brought down to hell with the fire and brimstone, which are the elements in the nuclear missiles. All right. So Capernaum was worse than Sodom. So you ain't no telling all kind of freakism and freaknickism and all that going on, because he's basically, the Lord said, y'all worse than fucking Sodom. He said Sodom would at least turned away from their wickedness if they would have seen the Son of the Most High there performing all these great miracles in the name of the Most High. All right. So it said, "But I say unto you that it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom in the day of judgment than for thee." And that's applies still today. All right. Because right now, the scriptures tell you about our people. They become more wicked than the wicked. Then the scriptures tell you about how wickedness has increased. So in this time, it's even worse. And that's like, damn, man. When you hear about Sodom and Gomorrah, you like, in those other 5 cities, like, yeah, that was some foul shit. But this place tops it, man. All right. But anyway, just wanted to get, and you see it in Luke as well. "And thou, Capernaum," Luke 10 and 15, "and thou, Capernaum, which are exalted to heaven, shall be thrust down to hell," meaning destroyed. So that's when it speaks about back in Luke 16, again, said, "And in hell he lifted up his eyes," meaning in slavery. Because why? After the so-called white man dies, as it tells you in Revelation, the 13th chapter, verse 9 and 10, all right, about the faith and patience of the saints, they're waiting for what? For he that led in the captivity, go into captivity. So these so-called white people, do we not all know that and even still, slavery never stopped? All right, they just brought it to more of a high-tech corporate, level, and then they even enslaved their own. They threw them into that, into this corporate monster called America. That's all America is. It's not a home of the brave, land of the free. Ain't nobody free here. So now these devils, these same devils that were sitting there lynching us, hanging us, poisoning us, they're going to, in the kingdom of heaven, they're going to lift up their eyes. They're going to wake up. It says, "And in hell he lift up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom." Right? Which Lazarus again represents us. "And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. So in other words, he's telling us, look, tell Lazarus to calm down, because the scriptures say, render double unto him. And when you read in Revelation, the 18th chapter, right? And in Isaiah, it said the hearts of the saints shall meditate terror, because why? The Lord is going to give us payback, man. All right? Remember, the Lord said in Thessalonians, it's a righteous thing to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. So in this life, they troubled us. In this life, they troubled us, man. Okay? And that's why I read the Lamentations in the last show, 4:21, because it's going to truly be trading places. Because here it is, we're slaves, we're poor, we're being destroyed by the police, the system. We're all strung out on drugs, right? And this government did nothing but made it worse for us, and it's gonna get worse. All right, they're fucking coming down even harder, knowing that all this shit that's going on, and they're the ones that's behind it, man. And they come out and let you know that they set up these that's why from the gate everybody called it what? A pandemic. And guess what? There's more pandemics that they got pictured. That's why they keep making these different. Remember, a lot of times they used to say, "Oh, y'all do is watch movies." Well, yeah, well, art imitates life, you know. And that's how these devils, it's a term that Bishop Anap used a lot. It's a thing called predictive programming. That's what they do. You see? You think it's just a coincidence now? They was showing you these robot cops back during the time of Terminator and all these different movies, right? The one with Demolition Man and all that, right? With the robots flying in the air, giving you tickets or whatever. Look at the Easy Pass thing. They showed you how they plant what they think, right? This is an agenda that they have. But the thing is that the Most High is going to step in. And so now in the prophecy, this part right here is future, which is coming very soon when the Lord actually delivers us, all right? Which pursuant to Matthew the 24th chapter. And again, matter of fact, and let me just read that real quick. There's just one word that I like. Boom. Matthew chapter 24, verse 30. It said, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And that's the chariots, the so-called UFOs. All right. And yes, they're gonna make themselves seen and known. All right. See, we supposed to be into the prophecies, man, of watching for the Lord to come back, man. All right. It said, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. They ain't talking about these clouds, in which, like I said before, you don't even know what's a real cloud from a chemtrail. They done flooded the heavens with so much chemtrails, man. That's why this devil has to be stopped. You know, and if you know this so-called white man, he's always been a sore loser. All right? He's always been a sore loser, man. He expects you to take all the shit that they did to us and still do to us, but forget about what he did to us in slavery, right? But they want to remember so-called the nonsense that they said happened to them, right? Allegedly, all right? And y'all know what I'm talking about, man. So this so-called white man is the devil on all levels. So that's why the Lord is coming back. But when the Lord comes back, like I said, he's coming with power and great glory, which is those chariots, the UFOs. Esau is not going to win this. All right, verse 31. It says, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the one end of the heaven to the other, because you got Israelites scattered all around the four corners of the earth. But the Lord is going to gather the elect of those Israelites. You see? So that's deep. And Lord willing, we'll come back to this. But reading back on in Luke 16. Okay, it says verse 24, and he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. And that, yeah, because we're gonna be busting their ass, man. And that's why, and see, people in the church read the scriptures without no understanding, man. All right, because that's when this is gonna come into play. And this is what the Bible says, you know. This is what the scriptures say, man. It says, remember, O Lord, Psalms 137:7. Remember, O Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, the children of Edom. See, Edom which is the rich man, right? In the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, meaning bring it down, destroy it, even to the foundation thereof. And that's what they did. They sat there and cheered going down. You know how happy these devils was to come back in power, to take us over? Because they came back, which they even coined it the Renaissance, right? Which the Renaissance meaning basically loosely translated the rebirth. Rebirth of what? Well, that goes back into Revelations 13, that deadly wound being healed. So these devils, because they're the same pagan Romans that were putting the same hell upon us back then that Yahweh Shai spoke about. When he said, since the days of John the Baptist till now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violent, and the violent taketh it by force. So these devils, they got some nerve, because they're going to be looking for mercy after they did all the shit that they did to us, man. The reason why Jake is all messed up and confused and bugged out, looking all mutated and everything, well, which the Most High allowed them to do it, because that was the prophecy. But again, the Lord said, and I'm going to come back. The Lord said, and it was Isaiah 47, right? Isaiah 47:6. The Lord said, I was wroth with my people. I have polluted my inheritance. Because why? Oh, and even in the land of Israel, the real Israelites are not there. Even though you got stragglers that are over there and some of the Jakes that went back there. But the people that's over there calling themselves Jewish and all that, that's not the real people. But the Lord said, I have polluted my inheritance and given them into thy hand. So the Lord gave us into your hand. That's how you got control over us. And Isaiah the 10th chapter breaks it down to the Most. You're just a tool of the Most High. You're like a weapon of the Lord. The Lord used you as an axe to chop us down. It said, thou didst show them no mercy. But see, so from the days of slavery, when you started taking over and taking down all the, the dark, all the areas that we owned at one point throughout Europe and everything, taking over the whole earth, basically, coming over here to what's now called America and establishing it through rape, robbery, and bloodshed and murder and diseases and all type of treachery. The Lord said, thou didst show them no mercy. See, this is the problem. Upon the ancient has thou very heavily laid thy yoke. Even the old men, they were sitting there whipping them and beating them. You got that one brother, I forget his name, the Apostle Rama did a show on the brother a while ago. I forgot his name. But that's the infamous picture of the Jake that got his, back whipped so much, it's like a railroad tracks running all over his back and everything like that. Well, this is what the so-called white man did, man. And yet you're going to have the nerve to ask for mercy and ask us to calm down in the kingdom, man? Are you crazy, man? That's these fucking dumb. Not, like I said, that's Esau. They could give it, but they can't take it. See, it's all good when everybody thought that so-called Jesus Christ, right, which real name is Yahweh Shai in the Hebrew, when everybody thought that the Lord was a so-called white man, it was okay. But now that we're finding out that everybody, the whole world's finding out, and it's coming out with, infallible proof that you can't deny that the Lord was actually a so-called black man. Now they don't. Oh, what's color got to do with it? Oh, now they can't take it. But when they was pushing their lies, it was all good. Everybody was supposed to go with their lies, but they can't deal with the truth. So now they want to start blocking videos and so forth and so on. But that's all right, because you're still running out of time, man. At the end of the day, what's that in Job? Job 14 and and this is heavy too, because we're gonna come back to this, but I'm gonna read the 5th verse. It says, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. And that's speaking about who? This damn devil, Esau. So he can't pass his boundary, even though he's trying to do new things. And you got these devils. I got to find the article again, but some billionaires that here it is. This guy, I think he was like in his 50s or whatever. He did some bullshit with his son's blood, took the blood and fused it together and injected it into himself and injected it into his father so they could try to live long and all. That's these devils up. But the Lord said you can't pass that boundary, man. And we know this, man. And this is Job 20:4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short? So yeah, this rich man, this devil, this Edomite that's in power is just a short time. And the joy of the hypocrite, but for a moment. You see? Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and look, it has happened. They got all these skyscrapers, they got satellites in the sky. Look how, like, this is the most decadent kingdom to ever exist, right? It says, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? He shall fly away as a dream and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. And that's what's going to go down. That's what's going to happen. The Most High is going to get rid of these devils, man. You see? It's going to be like a bad dream, a bad nightmare. But then it's going to become a real nightmare for them. That's why I said when he lifted up his eyes, he was in torment. Because why? They're going to be in chains. They're not going to have it easy. These so-called white people are not going to have it easy. They're going to be in the kingdom just to be punished, whipped. And yes, the scriptures speak about that, man. All right? The scriptures speak, yes, in the kingdom of heaven, we will have slaves, you see? And that's something that you devils, you can't avoid. You know, regardless of how many niggas you got caping for you or whatever, it's not going to happen. So now it said, back to 24. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me. And Esau is really a real crybaby, man. All right? I'll tell you that in Hebrews, man. It said, and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in the water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. This is how these devils are going to be in the kingdom. But Abraham said, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. Because in this society, that's what it is. These so-called white people always been on the top. Jake is trying to emulate and duplicate what Esau's doing. They trying to kill themselves for a piece of the pie, not knowing that who they really are and who their power is. So that's why Jake sold out and Jake is finished out there. But the Lord got a remnant. But now Abram said, which is speaking to the elites of this world, Esau, right, which is the rich man. He said, look, remember thou in this lifetime received thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things, right? Which now let's go to James. And see, and that's why in James, the 2nd chapter, it speaks about he shall have no mercy. Matter of fact, this is why. Let me go to that real quick. Get the right quote. 2 and 13. Right. James 2 and 13. It said, for he shall have judgment without mercy. That's why the rich man is crying to Abraham about Lazarus, because he's being tormented. Who's tormenting him? Us. Lazarus represent the Israelites. The word, again, the word Lazarus is the same as Eleazar. All right, meaning Yahweh help. And the Most High is going to help us. All right, the Most High is going to help us. All right, the Most High is going to help us up out of this condition that we're in, out of this wicked world. We're going to be delivered. Lord willing, we continue in the things that the Lord told us to. And we're going to, the Most High going to set us up in power and glory. And we're going to rule over these nations, man. All right. It says, he that have showed no mercy, right? And we know that that's clear as day. These devils didn't show us no mercy. But now this is what the Lord said. James 5 and 1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Yeah, because see, Esau, these so-called white people, that's why they develop a sense of entitlement. They even made a excuse for them when they do crimes, when they kill people. They got a thing called affluent lifestyle. Oh, well, they were spoiled. They didn't know no better. They just was used. They were born with a silver spoon. They never knew. Okay, well, the Lord said you about to. All right, this whole, and the thing is, the Most High gonna make everything that these elites are doing backfire on them. They sat there, just like with the so-called war on so-called drugs, which that was something that they was doing, just like all these different programs and the elites, and where you have people sit there and come out and speak against their plans and spill the beans. Well, they got this thing now where they're going with that MO to the TB, right? Well, that's going to backfire as well, too. You see, Esau's not going to be able to ride off into the sunset, man. All right? They're about to start feeling it, man. All right? More Edomites going to jump out the damn window, jump off out of buildings and everything. Because why? They losing their power. It's a changing of the guard, so to speak. All right? It's basically the Lord's transitioning the kingdom of heaven to us. All right? And the kingdom of heaven is going to be established on the earth. But first, the Lord got to nuke this place and destroy it. All right? So it could be rebuilt back up. Because the scriptures tell you that there's actually going to be, in Jerusalem, they're not going to have to, what they call it, the kibbutz or whatever, where they got to import greenery and trees and stuff to make it look like, nah, everything's going to go right back to the Garden of Eden. Although America's going to be a damn bitter desert, like as a memorial. Scriptures tell you that in Isaiah. All right. So the Lord said, "Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten, and everything that they stole, they got from ill-gotten gains anyway, and all that money that they stole could not save them. So your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it will fire. You have heaped treasures together for the last days," because this devil spares no expense on sitting there trying to, pass this agenda. They don't, meaning at the cost of lives, like going back to 9/11, that was a little light thing, all right. And that was one thing in that, from what I seen from the clip with the Lazarus project, because the dude said, "Well, why you didn't stop 9/11 from happening?" They said, "Nah, that wasn't the end of the world." And the elites, they knew that, that was just a test, and it was a sacrifice as well. All right, they sacrificed those people that was in that building, and then they blamed it on, the fall guy, the boogeyman. All right, and they point the finger at everybody, but themselves. But the thing is, the Lord is making everything, making them naked, man. The Lord is exposing them. All of the stuff they were doing, the sleight of hand, all the behind the scenes shit, setting up, lying. The truth is going to come out overall, man, and everybody's going to know that the Lord was dealing with the prophets, man, the Israelites, man. All right, the brothers of GMS, starting with the apostles on down, and any other brothers that have the doctrine of Yahweh Shai. All right. Because we know that there's going to be men that's not called GMS, but they're of the. If you have the elect of Israel, it goes about the elect. Even if men speak about you, even if men of the Lord speak about you, it don't stop you from being the elect at the end of the day. You see, but the scriptures say you got to give diligence to make thy calling and election sure. All right. So there's a lot of guys that haven't been diligent, that's been playing around and thinking that they could just pop up. There's a lot of guys out there like that, man. And you look phony as hell to the Most High, to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and then to us too, we see right through a lot of you guys, man. All right, so that's why the Spirit have us say the things that we say. But going back to this devil, it's clear as day that he's losing his salvation, losing his kingdom, losing his rulership. All right, things are changing. Okay, but it said you have heaped up treasures together for the last days, because it was at one time, like World War I and World War II, the elites were able to control all that because why? They were big bank. That's why the Rothschild family, they made their thing off of banking, controlling all of the money, all right, to the point even up to this day. That's why they have the world's wealth, and they were able to sit there and finance which side wins the war. Same thing like with Russia and Ukraine. You see, that's why Ukraine didn't have enough finances or power or whatever to fight against Russia, but that's why, being who they are, the Khazars that they are, the scum-elect, as we call them, right? The damn devil. They got backing because why? They connected with so-called Israel, those fake Israelis, and America backs them. You see, and they bring it, but the Lord's gonna have that flip too. That's gonna flip. Everybody's gonna turn against Esau, man. All right, at the end of the day. All right, but it said, "Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you, kept back by fraud." Because why? Who built up the America, man? Us, our people, man. So-called blacks, so-called Latinos, so-called Native American Indians, those of Negro Indian descent. All right, our people are the ones, the hard workers out there from slavery. It's straight up hardcore slavery, when you was whipping us, chaining us up, and never once did you consider to let us go, to free us up, or to take it easy, or have a conscience, like maybe, So the Lord said, "The hire the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you, kept back by fraud." And one of the biggest things they created, and that's why we always bring out the point, but we're still slaves, we're contractual slaves, which is even worse than being back in the plantation. All right, they're afflicting us even more. They brought this affliction and torment to a whole nother level on us, man. And when they sat there and said they emancipated, right, which doesn't mean freeing you, means just it's a transfer. The Emancipation Proclamation, right, basically transferred you under the bankers, right, which all these unconscionable contracts that you end up signing, and now you're just a vessel. They give you birth certificates and where they own you, right? And then they say, okay, you can go out there and get a job. They make you think, oh, we're gonna give you a job. So for a minute, you're doing good on that job, right? Or they might make you a contract because you got a talent to play sports or whatever, and then you make the big contract. But then what happens? Bam, the IRS, they come after you, man. all right, with all these fraudulent laws that they enacted, all right, because the IRS is really totally unconstitutional anyway, man. Income tax. You got people paying income tax that just earn wages. But anyway, this is why the scriptures say what it say. And this is why basically the rich man, Abrams, he ain't sit there and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to go talk to Lazarus to chill. No, he said, motherfucker, look, man, look at all the shit you did when it was your time to be in power. All right, how you were doing well and Lazarus was doing bad. And we are doing bad, you see? But it said, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you, kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. All right? And that's not the Sabbath. Okay? All right? It's not the Sabbath. The Lord of the troops. Not the Lord of the Sabbath. Okay? But again, you know, this is what these devils did. It said you have lived and the Most High does. And that's one thing the Most High hates. When you hold back a man's wages, all right? The scriptures even tell you the laborer is worthy of his hire. But we're not going to get that in this society. So, you know, that's why we got to kill ourselves and basically you work yourself to your grave. And by the time you retire in your 60s or whatever, and they pushing that back, right? You get a little bullshit check. Now you got to, you know, watch how you live. This is for Jake. It's different for them. But most times Jake drop dead by the time they retire. All right, because they don't work for 30, 40, 50 years of hardcore slavery and breathed in all kind of chemicals on and these companies and plants and everything. As long as the organs is all messed up, you know, then with the fucked up diet that they pushed on Jake, man. Hey, these devils got a lot to pay for, man. The Lord said, you have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. Yeah, undisciplined. You have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter. Yeah, because you're living off fat. But that's the Lord, and that's heavy. The Lord pumps these devils up to where they're so proud, right? So that way it could be even a greater slaughter, okay? It said, you have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you. You see? So this is what Abraham said to the rich man, right? But Abraham, back in Luke 16:25, but Abraham said, son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. You see? So that's how that thing worked, man. It said, and besides all this, you know what? I'm gonna end it right there. I guess it's gonna call for a part 3. There's a lot more points. I don't want to just rush over it, you know. And again, this is just, you know, through the Spirit. The Spirit hit me to go through this, man. I'm just going through precepts. Whoever it's for is for. You know, this is stuff. You know, a lot of these is basic and milk scriptures and everything, but it's prophecy, and it basically shows, you know, it shows what's going on today. It shows the difference between us and them, the rich man and Lazarus, Jacob and Esau. You know, and again, that's what it all goes back to. All right, the Bishop Todd said it at the camp, right? Which the apostle was this guy, which, you know, he was a cool brother, you know, but the apostles called him the minor leaguer, the minor league. You know, I think it was Apostle Todd that gave him that name. You know, but he was a cool brother too, older brother. You know, boxer, knock you the fuck out type older. But he would sit there and be shaking them, you know, at the camp. You know, them Edomites be looking for a shoulder to cry on, and then he'll jump on them. You know, sometimes he probably shake him down for money, who knows. But whoever he get a hold of, he always go, see, this goes back to Jacob and Esau. All right, you got to understand something. What Jacob? So that was like his catchphrase every time he always talked to somebody. But guess what? Bishop Taz had quoted it at the camp, but that's the truth. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, man. You know, and Lord willing, we'll go to it on Lord willing the next show. You know, I get up here and do some things and work and all that other bullshit in Babylon. But I pray you brothers were edified as always in all the lessons. And I say Kal Halal, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Brakathum to sincere Akim. Shalom.